Why, hello there. Welcome to my statistical research laboratory. I don't know why I need a lab coat or even all of this to talk about statistics, but it seemed like a good idea at the time. In one of my recent videos, I typed as an ISTJ. And if you know anything about ISTJs, they like numbers. And I don't just mean the hit TV show from 15 years ago called Numbers, starring the guy who played Bernard in the Santa Claus movies. I mean actual factual statistical data. So in this video, I'm going to take you through some of my research. I've gone around the whole country and collected this data just for this video, talking about the percentage of each Myers-Briggs type within the population and coming to some interesting conclusions from that data. For example, did you know that ENFPs are the most common intuitive type? Did you know that most people are J-types? It's just a couple examples of stuff that we'll be talking about in this video. So what percentage of the population is your personality type? Stay tuned to find out. But first, this video is sponsored by the hit TV show Numbers, starring the guy who played Bernard in the Santa Claus movies. Okay, let me check my notes and let's look at a computer now because that's how we do research. Welcome to the computer room and our mainframe. Insane in the brain. Insane in the mainframe. I messed up my joke. Insane in the mainframe. It's not as funny now. This computer here is the Personality Tracker 5000. So let me just log in and we'll see what the... Let's log in and see what the different percentages of each type are.
Why are you waking me up?
Oh, hey there, Chip. That's what the computer's name is. I mean, I already said it was Personality something 5000, but that Chip is his nickname. Hey, Chip.
I've been crunching so many numbers, I may need to take a big file dump soon.
Okay, now, if you're wondering, all of these statistics are not just made up. Well, they could be, but the statistics are actually from the official MBTI handbook. Of course, if you are a total newbie, MBTI means Myers-Briggs Type Indicator. That is what we're talking about when we're talking about the 16 personalities. And of course, if you need a quick introduction to the 16 personalities and what all the letters mean, check out this video in the card above my head. Whoa, that card almost took off my head, man. Let's just start by talking about the letters, the letter dichotomies, and which portion of the population is more one or the other. So let's start with the first letter, E versus I. Have any guesses as to which one is more prevalent in the population? Well, surprisingly, introverts seem to edge out extroverts by just a little bit. Introverts make up 50.7% of the population, whereas extroverts are 49.3%. Of course, everything is on a spectrum, so a lot of these introverts and extroverts are going to be towards the middle and be more like ambiverts. The extremes are less common, but that's not really accounted for here. We're just looking at the letter dichotomies. So now we move on to the S or N, sensing or intuition. How do you perceive the world? Sensing is looking at the facts and the details and what can we prove, and intuition is looking at the abstract concepts and the overview and the big picture. This one is much more lopsided. Here we have 73.3% of the population prefer sensing, whereas 26.7% prefer intuition.
That's really lopsided. Like a butt.
Chip, that is barely a joke. That barely qualifies.
Well, I thought it was funny.
Just shut up and let me do the video. Frank, you were so mean to that fictional computer. Okay, now let's move on to thinking or feeling. Any guesses for which way the population will go? Now, this one isn't as lopsided as sensing or intuition. We have 40.2% of the population identifying as thinkers, and then we have 59.8 identifying as feelers. This is not too surprising. It's pretty balanced, but I think feeling, making decisions based on emotions and just like how we value stuff, what we think is important, it makes sense that a majority of the population would be that way. Then we move on to the J or P preference at the end.
Yeah, you already spoiled that one at the beginning.
Yes, I did, Chip. It's called a teaser to get people to watch. But yes, J or P, there are more J types, but it's still pretty close to 50-50. We have 54.1% of people are J types and 45.9% are P types. Already, that's a lot of cool information, right, Chip?
Yeah, if by cool you mean boring.
Chip, I'm gonna pull the plug on you. Chip, if you don't watch out, I'm gonna karate chop you in the motherboard. Anyway, in the next segment of the video, we're gonna go through each of the 16 personalities from the most common in the population to the least common, the rarest personality type, which you may have already heard what it is. But there are some surprises along the way, so keep watching. Okay, Chip, are you gonna behave in this part of the video?
You're a nerd.
You know, times were simpler when we just, used pad and paper. Okay, let's go through the personality types. The most common personality type in the population by percentage. We start off with the ISFJ, coming in at 13.8% of the population, followed closely by ESFJs, who make up 12.3% of the population. I mean, this is pretty interesting because the two most common types, which make up 25% of the population right there, 1 in 4 people are going to prefer introverted sensing and extroverted feeling. These types are all about being orderly, being practical, but also making sure that everyone is feeling good. I'll go on the record, I'll say I'm a big fan of ISFJs and ESFJs. I love them. Can't get enough of them. Don't stop till you get enough. Copyright! Next up is a type that is not that dissimilar from these first two, the ISTJ, coming in at 11.6. Next up, the fourth most common type might be a bit of a surprise. It is the ISFP. These types, of course, march to the beat of their own drum. They're doing their own thing. They follow in their heart. But then after that, the fifth most common type, not similar to the ISFP at all. We have the ESTJ at 8.7% of the population. Next, we have the ESFP with 8.5% of the population. So you may have noticed so far, we've had all sensing types in our list. The top 6 most common types making up almost 64% of the population, all sensing types. But now we are coming to our first intuitive type, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, the ENFP, making up 8.1% of the population.
FJ?
What, Chip?
I think I caught a virus.
Now, how would you get a virus, Chip?
I went to a super spreader event. It was a party at Ask Jeeves' house.
That doesn't... So stupid, doesn't even make sense. Next is the ISTP at 5.4%. And then after that, the INFP at 4.4%. Coming in at number 10, we have the ESTP, 4.3% of the population. Now, I was surprised a bit by that the ESTP overall is less common than the INFP. If you had asked me to guess beforehand, I would have said ESTP definitely more common than probably both the INFP and the ENFP, but it is not so.
You said but.
Nobody asked you, Chip. Next at number 11, the INTP with 3.3% of the population. And then the INTP's buddy, the ENTP at 3.2%. So now we're coming down to the final 4. These are the 4 least common types in terms of percentage in the population. And interestingly, these 4 types are the 4 types that prefer to use introverted intuition as their main way of perceiving the world.
My main way of perceiving the world is the internet, like Netscape.
Just ignore him. Just don't say anything. Okay, at number 13 we have the ENFJ at 2.5%. After that, the INTJ at 2.1%. And then rounding off the end, the 2 least common types, we have the ENTJ at 1.8%, and as many of you knew already, the INFJ at 1.5%. It's interesting to look at all these statistics because you see so many articles across the internet making such a big deal about INFJ, the rarest type, oh my gosh. And these statistics show you that they're like barely edging out the ENTJ by 0.3% to be the rarest type. So, whatever. So don't get too caught up in the whole rarity thing. It's not like you have one type at 10% and then the INFJ is after that at 1%. It's pretty close to all those other ones at the bottom. Now in the next video, I'm not sure if it'll come out next week or if it will be further in the future. And for those of you watching in the future, it'll be either in the card above my head or in the end screen at the end or a link down below. We're gonna look at these statistics, but we're gonna look at men versus women, which brings up a lot of interesting statistical data.
I'm glad this video is over. I'm bored.
Chip, I'm about to turn you off without hitting the shutdown button.
Oh no, I can't handle that. I'm running Windows 95.
Yeah. You'll get what you deserve. Anyway, be sure to check out another video right here or the whole playlist right here, and join me next week for another video all about the 16 personalities. Thanks for watching and stay cool and attractive.